And so one of the experiments that we did, it was, why don't we turn our website on mobile into a TikTok-like experience where each section of the website is a small video that you scroll through to go to the bottom of the homepage. And the first video would be, this is Rose, it's a really powerful.
This episode is brought to you by Warmly. Warmly is an AI-powered GTM assistant that helps your outbound team stop wasting time and start targeting the right people at the right time. Here's the play. Your SDRs open LinkedIn, and instead of cold scrolling, they get real-time signals like who is researching solutions like yours, who just switched jobs, or who recently viewed your site. No CRM updates, no lead lists, just useful context surfaced where they already work. If you're doing outbound in 2025 and not using Warmly, you are behind. Try it for free at www.warmly.ai.
In this episode of the GTM Engineering Podcast, I talked to Henrique Cruz, head of growth at Rose. Henrique joined Rose 7 years ago, back when it was just an idea. Since then, he's helped build it into what they now call world's smartest AI spreadsheet, used by more than 1.5 million worldwide. In our conversation, Henrique explained why spreadsheets and AI are such a natural fit, how Rose moved from building infrastructure to layering AI on top, and what that shift means for everyday data workflows. We also got into growth side, the kinds of experiments his team is running, what really works in PLG, and how he decides which bets to double down on. He shared a sharp lesson on positioning an AI product in a crowded space and why freeing users from manual work is the North Star. Here's my conversation with him. Hey man, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. How are you? Everything's good over here on this side of Europe, at least.
Yeah, I am. I'm a bit far away from you. Trying to survive under this heat, but I can't complain. Everything is going well. I mean, it's been a while since the last time we had a chat. Great to have you here. I'm very looking forward to what kind of experiments you guys are running. Rose has always been an interesting company for me. So yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Before we begin, maybe you would like to talk a little bit about yourself and Rose and what you guys have been focusing recently. Obviously, I do have an idea, but it'd be great for the audience.
Yeah. So we're Rose, right? ROWS.com, and we're building the world's smartest AI spreadsheet, or the world's smartest spreadsheet. We've been actually doing this for a while. I think my 7-year anniversary is going to be in October. And when I joined, it was pre-product, pre-users. And the idea was just to build a spreadsheet with integrations on top, with data connectors. And it took us a while to build a really good performance spreadsheet. And now over the last 2 years, with the emergence of AI, I think it's just a perfect fit, because AI is really good at these sort of coding related tasks or output that you can validate. And a spreadsheet, on the other hand, is a tool where you spend a lot of manual time adding cells, adding formulas, converting data, etc. And so matching these two worlds make a lot of sense, and just freeing people of their time. And that's kind of what we've been doing over the last 2 years, adding more and more AI capabilities so that anybody can become a data analyst. People can save time from their spreadsheet workflows. And we have about 1.5 million users, hundreds of customers around the world. And we just need to go full speed, right? Because this is it's a race.
Yeah, that's amazing. It just made me realize that it's been a long time since we met each other. I guess it's been 5 years, maybe 6 years when we first met. Again, it was through the podcast, right?
Exactly. I think the first time we talked was even pre-COVID or 2020, something like that.
Pre-COVID. It was pre-COVID. It was a long time ago. Because you said it's been 7 years, right? Since it's your 7th anniversary. Yeah, I guess when we met, it was your first year, maybe, or something. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. A lot has changed.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. I'm also seeing that you guys are publishing the product updates, releasing new stuff on LinkedIn, which is something that I appreciate, because most B2B SaaS companies, they rarely go into LinkedIn unless they want to promote something. But you're actively there, you're creating content. What are those new features that you guys have released recently?
I think the two biggest things is, one of them is what we call Rose Vision. Essentially, what we see is that finance teams, ops teams, they spend a lot of time converting data from PDFs like invoices, purchase orders, etc., to put on a spreadsheet to analyze. And we've basically built the world's best OCR model inside the spreadsheet. So, you can drag batches of PDF files, tell rows what you want to extract, converge into the same table, and basically get your work done. So that's been really popular. And then the second thing that we're just announcing this week is called AI Replace, which is essentially rethinking Excel macros, but for the AI age. So you can think about it, if every Monday you have to take one CSV, clean it up, and do a report, you can do it once with a series of prompts in our analyst, save that as a replay, give it a name, and then next time you want to run this set of flows, you just run the replay and let the AI do the work for you. And so we're seeing this idea of, we talk a lot about AI agents and doing work for you when you're not there. I think this idea of kind of a co-piloting, really saving time from your day-to-day job is getting more and more powerful as the models get better. And so that's kind of two ways that teams are using rows to save time, like at scale.
That's pretty nice. You said that you're going to release it this week, right?
Yeah, this week.
That's nice. I'm looking forward to it. I think, at least for my circle, everybody got to know Rose when you guys switched from having a homepage to, having, let's not say no homepage, but basically your homepage is your product, right?
Yeah.
I remember, I think you and Kyle Poyer covered this story. Then whenever I mentioned Rose, and everyone around me say, "Oh, these are the guys with like no homepage, right? Product homepage." So I've always respected the experiments that you guys run in the Rose, and I'm also curious to know right now is, what do you think is the one problem that you're seeing the GTM teams facing right now?
I think go-to-market teams are a little bit all over the place with this AI revolution, right? Every day, we were talking about this on Office. Every day you see someone on LinkedIn saying, SEO is dead, or outbound is dead, or SDRs are dead. And I think just focusing on what is really the value for the customer, how can I use AI in the smartest way to get the value out, is probably how teams are struggling with the most, right? We see this a little bit, like we don't have an outbound team and everything is inbound and word of mouth, but we feel that a little bit, right? Because we could say that we're just the world's smartest spreadsheet, but at some point we need to be more crisp on the positioning and who do we really help doing what. And I think go-to-market teams must be struggling a little bit with this. All of these AI tools, everybody's saying that everything changes, but then on the day-to-day, I think a lot less is changing than we think it is, like just from social.
Yeah, I feel that too. I think like people are so confused with what channel they should be focusing on, what tools they should be focusing on. I see like people are posing and they're like, from one point, they don't want to miss out. Like I know some people who are just trying some channel, knowing that it's not going to work for them just because they saw something on the LinkedIn and they think that they should not be missing out, and they're trying as well. Like from my perspective, like people are trying to scale broken messages with the shiny AI automations, and like they should go back to fundamentals and see like, okay, what do we do? Who do we go after? And what is our messaging? What I see right now people are doing is like, they don't focus on that. They're just like, what is the next shiny tool that we should be using? Your everything is broken. Like, what are you trying to scale? And I think that's something very common with most SaaS companies.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a broken sales pipeline, having an AI SDR is not going to solve anything, right? Or doing a tool that does more outbound is not going to solve anything. I think these tools really help when you have a specific problem to solve and you have some working motion. This week, I was listening to a podcast with Mark Benioff from Salesforce, and he said something like, over the last 10 years or 20 years, I'm not sure how much, we've had 100 million calls that we couldn't answer. Like we didn't have enough salespeople to answer the calls. Now with AI, they can like recall these people automatically, and they can have a good script to talk to people. I think this is a real use case if it's true and if it works, right? Like you have a specific bottleneck that you want to address, but just, I want to sell more, therefore let me try these tools, but my pipeline isn't really working and I'm not really converting today. I don't think that's a good approach to it. What we try to do is a little bit of the opposite, which is we keep the fundamentals the same, but then we see, okay, for this particular task, is there any AI tool that can help me do my job better? So, one example, we do a lot of illustrations in our brand style guidelines. So if you write a blog post with you as a case study, you're going to have a custom illustration. If we're going to play with Excel and Microsoft and you want to have an illustration of Sundar or Satya, we would like draw an illustration. And this becomes a little bit of a bottleneck. So for example, we built a GPT that is trained on our brand guidelines and can generate a draft of an illustration like at 90% well, that then our designers can take and do the rest of the work. Right? And so this is an example of a specific bottleneck in the process. Try to find an AI solution for it that can help us save time, and then deploy it and use it. And then if it works, we keep it. Right? I think it's more of these tactical things because at the end, I think the fundamentals change that much.
I like the illustration touch on the blog side of things. When you said like even us, like we're confused a little bit sometimes at the office, like our go-to-market team is confused. When you say confused, like what is that? Like what does that mean? Like what are you guys confused about? Is it the AI tool stuff? Is it like fear? Like you mentioned that you don't do outbound. Is it more like AI? See, like everyone is doing it with this AI. Should we try it as well? Kind of confusion. Like what is it exactly?
Well, it's not really that. It's more, are we missing out on any specific technology that we should be adopting, either on the engineering side or the growth engineering side, to deploy experiments faster, for example? Or that's more, I think. Luckily, we have a lot of new users every day, a lot of data that we can look into, a lot of feedback to work on the day-to-day. But I think it's more we're in this kind of bubbling environment. Is there something that kind of we're missing out on? And also every other week you see, Lovable hit this much ARR, this other company hits this much ARR. So do they know something that we don't know? Like it's more of this.
Yeah, I know. I have founder friends, and these people are doing well, but they always feel the pressure because they keep seeing like, oh, this company hit 10 million ARR within, let's say, 9 months and 10 months. And I keep telling them, look, you're doing great, actually. You're looking at like outliers, which we don't even know if it's true or not.
Exactly.
Sometimes. Like, that's also like everyone is flexing on the LinkedIn. Like everybody's making millions of dollars. We don't know. And I know that these founders are getting pressure as well because of their investors. They're forwarding them. It was like, hey, look, these guys made it in 10 months. And why you're not doing the same thing? I totally feel you there. One thing that I wanted to ask, since it came to my mind, how long it has been since you guys switched from having a normal like static homepage to a product page? It's been like 2 years or something or more?
Yeah, a little bit over 2 years. I think it was June of 2023. Yeah.
How has been the process, like progress so far? Like since you guys, switched, is it still you're still happy with the results, and that's probably why you're keeping it though? Like, just want to know how things are going with it.
Exactly. We're still happy with the results. We actually ran an analysis this week again on the impact of this experiment. But just to walk the audience through it, basically, if you go to rose.com on desktop and even also now on mobile, instead of showing you the marketing page, you go directly into a sandbox account where you can use the product, do integrations, try the AI, etc. And then you can sign up, we save your data, and you can keep working from there. And we have essentially tripled conversion rate to sign up on desktop. That is still the case, right? From like 8 to 9% to the 20s, high 20s. Net activation rate is also still up. We have a lot of sandboxes power users, so people who before signing up use the product multiple days a week. So this is all true, and that's why we're keeping it on the desktop. On mobile, it's a little bit trickier because even though we have a surge of usage by shipping this in mobile, the conversion rate to sign up actually decreased. And I think that the reason is when you're on a desktop, it's very clear that you have your sign up button and that you should sign up. On mobile, the real estate is much smaller. So if you go to rose.com on your phone, you can talk with the analyst. The analyst can create your spreadsheets. You can upload files. But the bridge to signing up is not as clear. And I think we still have to do a better job at optimizing there. So, usage went up a lot on mobile, but conversion rate not as much. But that's why we're keeping the experiment. And actually what we ran this week was, basically the core idea was, does this still make sense? Or should we, for example, redirect people again to rose.com/product or rose.com/AI? Let's look at the conversion rate to paid from people who land on rose.com/AI or /product from search, right? Because people end up on that page as well anyway. And what we saw is that conversion rate to paid, activation rate to people who land on these pages is higher than people who land on the sandbox, but the volume is so much less that even if we were to switch, we would lose a lot of people anyway, net, right? So it's still worth keeping because obviously the people who land on rose.com/AI have much better intent, right? And so it's natural that they will have a little bit more conversion rate to paid. If they had 5 times more, 6 times more, this I think would be a strong indicator. In our case, it was like 2 times more. And therefore, if we convert 3 times more people to sign up, but the retention is, worse, I think we can live with that trade-off because it's going to be net positive. So that's actually what we are. What we are doing also, I think this week, is we're shipping a new version of the onboarding screens, because there we get a lot of feedback. Like people who land on the sandbox, sometimes they tell us, I didn't understand this was a sandbox, or I actually wanted to see your pricing page and I couldn't find it. Like, we keep getting this feedback, and so we're iterating on the landing experience on the sandbox.
A lot of experiments, and I love it that you guys are, you guys like to keep the team lean, and you're running a lot of experiments. And this homepage experience really requires, got to change having a conventional homepage to a product page. But I'm glad to hear that, it's going well for you guys. And I'm also curious to know about, like, what do you think is the, this one big trend that the go-to-market team should be paying attention to? It could be for your team, or it could be from, your peers that you're having a conversation with. It's just, what do you think is this like one big trend in the go-to-market teams right now?
I think one big trend that we're still seeing is a lot of teams are on this like pay to try mode, meaning that everybody's on the same boat of what are these new AI tools. And we see at Rose a lot of upgrades from teams that are just trying out the product. They might not have really a lot of intent, but they have a little bit of budget just to try a few different tools. And I think for go-to-market teams, it can be a bit misleading to look at these upgrades and look at this churn and be frustrated because they're not like expanding the account, etc. And instead, maybe we should just go back and keep focusing on the core ICP, trying to sell to bigger teams, trying to sell larger deals with higher intent, and not be, enamored by this idea that now with AI you can just go bottoms up, people will sign up, they will pay, etc. Because of course, if you're a lovable and so on, that maybe you can get a lot of ARR from that, but for most B2B teams, it's probably a waste of time, even though you might see a lot of upgrades, but it just might be people who are shopping for AI and they're just looking for it. And we see it all the time as well. A lot of Gmails who upgrade, the churn rate on those are really high because they're just experimenting, right? It's okay to spend 20 or 30 bucks just to try it out.
Okay, so it just reminded me, like, when you do a product launch, you're going to see like spike of, signups within a day. And then when you look at the churn, the churn is going to be crazy because like the audience there is mostly like, hey, there's something new that I want to try out, but I don't know if I need it, but they try and then they churn. So you're saying like with the AI tools right now, people still are not sure like what is it that they need or if they're going to get an ROI. So they see something, they get excited, they pay for it. And then it could be misleading for go-to-market teams just to focus on this persona just because they're paying, but you don't know if they're going to stick or not. That's your.
Yeah, I think if you're a potential buyer, you look at the landscape and you're still looking for what will be the winner in each category. Right? If you're obviously the cursors are kind of the winners on the coding aspect, or Lovable and Replit seem to be winners in the vibe coding category. Those seem to be more established. But maybe if you're a buyer looking for outbound tools, the winner is not clear. For data analysis, the winner is not clear. And so you'll see a lot of this shopping around behavior, I suspect.
Yeah, I see something similar as well. Like it's a great point, actually. The other thing that I'm curious is, I mean, you talked about a lot of experiments already before I ask you the question, but I'm going to ask you this. Like, pick your favorite experiments, the one experiment that you run, and what was the hypothesis behind it? Was it a failure? Was it a success? But what was this one favorite experiment that you did? Only one, though.
Yeah. I'll tell. Let me tell you about one that I was really bullish, and I still think the thesis is correct, but we actually rolled back and it didn't work. So the core idea was all of the B2B websites on mobile suck. Okay, like you basically design your whole experience to desktop. You show the screen, you show the value prop, you show all of that, and then on mobile everything's crammed. You had like small images, copy, a lot of sections, etc. But on the other hand, you have this explosion of short form video like TikTok and YouTube. And these channels can show a lot of content, sometimes technical content on your phone, right? So this problem seems to be solved. You have massive channels on TikTok about I don't know, like spreadsheets or data stuff or coding or N8N workflows, all of that. So clearly that problem of explaining technical information on a small screen is solved. And so one of the experiments that we did, it was, why don't we turn our website on mobile into a TikTok-like experience where each section of the website is a small video that you scroll through to go to the bottom of the homepage. And the first video would be, this is Rose. It's a really powerful spreadsheet to save time. You scroll down. The second video is, this is a base spreadsheet. You can use your VLOOKUPs, etc. You can connect it. Yeah, you see what I mean, right? Like each section is a short form video with captions with 5, 6, 7 seconds. And so we rolled that out. But the results weren't what we like. I don't think we optimized it enough. But basically, we rolled it out. What happened was we looked at our page speed score, and it went down a lot because we had to load all of these video up front. I don't think we were being smart enough, I think, on compressing the video and like maybe not loading it all in the front on the same at the same when you load the page. We also didn't have many, I think, a big clear CTA there. But I think the experiment, I was just like pulling up the numbers. The bounce rate grew 20%, 20 points, basically the bounce rate on the page. So that was a big indicator that this was not working well. I was just pulling in the numbers.
Oh, wow.
The number of visitors to the homepage actually didn't change much, but the bounce rate on the homepage on mobile went from, for example, 40%, right? So 40% of the people only went to rose.com and they left, to like 60, 70%. And I think a big reason when we looked at the data was the time it took to load. Like loading the videos took a long time, and therefore people just left early. Right?
That's very interesting. So you turn the mobile website into like TikTok, like so where like you scroll down, and then every time you scroll down, you hit on the different part of the website.
Exactly, a different part of the value proposition. Right? I think it's possible that this still will happen and maybe become more of the norm, because clearly it's a way to solve this problem that the social platforms have. But I haven't seen anybody else adopting it or trying it. We might give it another try again and be smarter on optimizing the videos. Maybe if the network is slow, we default to a static page. But I think that was a really interesting experiment that didn't pan out. The thesis was there. Yeah.
That's very. I've never seen anyone doing it as well. In fact, I would love to see it next time. You took it down, right?
We took it down, but I have a video here with me that we recorded on our document with the experiment. Yeah.
Oh my! Maybe you can send it to me and I can include it for the episode. That like it would be really good. But you said that you guys are gonna optimize the video speed and then run this experiment again, right?
I think so. There's a few things that we didn't do. Like we didn't optimize the compression of the video. We didn't optimize when the video was loaded in the page. We didn't optimize the call to actions. We didn't optimize so that if the network was slow, we could default to a static page. There were a lot of things. I think we did the simplest way, which is we hosted all of these videos on a cloud storage at Google. And then when you landed the page, we would redirect. We basically download the files and go one by one. And that was to prove the concept. Clearly, the numbers weren't there. We also had a lot of other things on our plate, so we just rolled back. But I still think it makes a lot of sense, the fact that these pages on mobile are just terrible experiences in general.
It is. And in fact, like when you run this experiment again, I would love to see, maybe we'll do like a follow-up episode to discuss just for this experiment. Would love to see it.
Of course.
My last question is, if somebody wants to connect with you, what is the best place to find you? What platform, how they should connect with you?
I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you go to LinkedIn, Henrique, Rose, I hope I'm the first hit. And if you go to Google and you do Henrique, Rose, Twitter.com, I think you'll find me as well. And there I spend a lot of time sharing stats about what Rose is doing, new releases, what we're learning from our customers, also what we're learning from AI, because we've really been building this thing every day for the last 2 years. So I think we have a good intuition on how to build AI products and AI features. And yeah, I'd love to obviously hear from people who are trying out the product and give all the feedback and just connect.
Thanks a lot, man. I really, really appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you.